So today we're talking about the tone deaf student. And I think anyone who's been teaching for any length of time has had that brave soul who has come to them and said, I really want to be able to sing, but I'm embarrassed to sing, or people are saying mean things to me. Oh, hi, Alex. Good. People are saying mean things to me. Alex, I think Alex is in good company. We're looking forward to this topic. But we've had these brave people who have just had such a deep desire to want to sing and such a deep fear of being able to sing. They just don't. Yeah, they haven't gotten good feedback. They don't trust themselves. They seem to be maybe tone deaf. Hi, Rita. And so we as voice professionals don't want to believe that this is a thing, and we want to help them because that's who we are. And by the way, I have to start by saying happy Diwali, everybody. For anybody who is celebrating Diwali, I hope you have a joyful day today and get to spend time with your friends and family and eat lots of delicious food. So anyway, just wanted to take a moment because I know today is Diwali. So back to this. We all get those students, right? Now, Oliver Sacks, in his book Musicophilia, which is one of my faves, he says that up to 3% of people actually have amusia, which is the actual, neurological term for the inability to understand pitch or different frequencies. So they can understand amplitude, loud, soft. There's the components of sound, but they can't understand frequency modulation. So he said up to 3% of people have that. And then he later in life modified that to something that seems more accurate to me, which is he said it was probably less than 1%. So what that means is for all the people who in your life you have heard them say, I'm tone deaf, probably they're not, because the odds are strongly against them. Less than 1% of people have true amusia. So I've been playing with some brain-based ideas, and this is mostly because of the way that I present myself in terms of my obsession with neurology and the voice. I attract people who say, I believe that I have a neurological issue with being able to sing. And currently I have 3 of those people in my studio. So I've been experimenting on them, and they know I'm experimenting on them. They're in on it with me. But I do want to say, that I'm having a great time with it. It's not science. I'll revisit that in a moment. But I've seen some really interesting things with these people, and I want to share them with you. And I want to hear what your experience has been as well. So before I go into that, we are going to get to that. So stay with me. I'm Meredith Colby. I am the author of Money Notes, How to Teach High, Loud, Healthy, and Forever, which introduces neurovocal, a way to sing for popular styles that is based on brain science. You'd think I'd be able to do this by now. I teach teachers and coaches for popular styles. Right now, I am designing my Neurovocal Method 2.0 certification course for voice professionals, teachers, and coaches. And if I'm in your contacts and you're on my mailing list, you will be the first to know when the registration page is open. So I'm really excited about this. I'm revamping the whole thing. Thank you all the teachers who have taken this, who have given me great feedback and helped me. And if you are on my mailing list, you will get a hefty pre-sale discount. So if you are not on my mailing list, go to... Thank you, Alex. Alex is a brain nerd like me, and I adore her for it. Anyway, if you if you are not on my mail list, go to my contact page on meredithcolby.com and sign up, and you will get those great discounts. And also, by the way, BTW, I also teach privately. So if you would like to try a little brain science-based voice works with me, you can schedule with me directly from my site, meredithcolby.com. Now, hearts and thumbs and hearts really help me with the Facebook crowd. So if you are watching now or on the replay, feel free to add your thumbs, your comments, your hearts, your questions, all the stuff. Hashtag that. Questions, thoughts, comments. I want it all. I want it all. And if you're watching, and someone's going gonzo with the thumbs right now. Thank you. Anyway, if you are watching on YouTube, please like and follow. You know how it goes. You will find any relevant links in the description, video description below. Now, today I have to tell you, I'm meeting a challenge today. I usually use a script because I'm very conscious about not wasting anybody's time, and I want to get you the information, so I write it all out. And my coach challenged me to try to do this extemporaneously. So I will do my best to still respect your time and keep things short and to the point and reasonable, but I am winging it, kind of winging it here today. Hey! Kate Fraser Neely just signed up for my mailing list. I am feeling so fancy right now. And Patrick is here from Thailand. Hello, Patrick. It is lovely to see you today. Thank you for checking in with us today. Now I'm going to start talking about this cool stuff. Kate is laughing at me because I think she's fancy, but she is fancy. Okay, back to our title. So this is what we're happening. Nope, that was not the title. Okay. Today, I just want to be very clear. Oftentimes on my broadcast, I do talk about, actual science things. This is not today. This is not actual science. We are just talking about some ideas. I want to hear what your experience has been. And I want to share some thoughts as I've been mulling this over and working with this. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about my Alexander class and these students that I've had and some things we've tried. So this is just want to be clear. So I took an Alexander technique class earlier this year, and it was really interesting to me. Now, first of all, bad on me, because I've been hearing about Alexander from musicians for decades. And I finally decided to, my daughter's home. I finally decided to, bite the bullet and try an Alexander class. And what I found was so interesting, because Alexander is like, I realized neurovocal is kind of the Alexander for voice in a way, because what Alexander understood, what he didn't really get it because he didn't have the way to collect data that we now do about brains and stuff. But what he understood, that brains predict movement. And so he understood that if you can interfere with that prediction process, that you can introduce new choices in how to move your body, how to introduce motor behavior. If you can, right. So I was fascinated by that. I'm like, this is so cool. So I wanted to let you know that that's the thing, that I took that class, and that was very interesting to me. I'm going to get to that. I also want to tell you that I am reading a book by Nina Kraus. She is a neuroscience researcher at Northwestern, and the book is called Of Sound Mind. If you are a neuro geek, you want this book. It is so fun. But so some of these things that I'm talking about today are based on her book as well. Now, here's the deal. Because we just don't have 2 days, I'm going to be simplifying as much as I can. So forgive me if I get too simple. And if you want to add to the comments, please feel free. Now, when you sing, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. Oh, see, I put that up and then I forgot to click it. As you know that I'm watching, anyone who's watching this knows I have a problem with this. Okay, when you are singing, the very simple version is there's oral input, there's processing. I left out prediction because I don't want to talk about that today. That's another broadcast. But oral input, processing, and then a motor outcome. And I made it that simple today because that's how I want us to kind of think about this today. Hi, Kathy Glickman. So the oral input is the way your brain processes sound is really interesting. Historically, people have thought about sound processing as this sort of linear thing, but it's really not. Your brain is a network, and your brain it hears whatever sound and then parses it out into its various components, and somehow the magic of your brain is able to figure out what it's hearing and how it needs to be processed. So when somebody hears a musical tone, there's a lot of information in that musical tone. There's timbre, there's pitch, frequency modulation, there's volume, amplitude modulation. There's all this kind of these different. You could tell how near or far a pitch is from you, which is kind of interesting too. So your brain does a lot of this parsing out, this math. I like in my neurovocal class, I just call it doing the math. Your brain does the math. And so that is, but when voice teachers teach, we tend to sort of lump that in with the making of the sound. Like it's just one thing in our minds, because for most of us, it's been very easy to just hear a pitch and reproduce the pitch. But actually, those are two separate functions. And that's kind of what I want to lean into today. So let's take a second and let's talk about that, catching a ball. Some of you have been in my class and you've heard me talk about this before. When if somebody tosses a ball to you, and please don't tell me about your hand-eye coordination poverty, because I also have that. But let's assume that you are capable of catching a ball. So somebody tosses a ball to you, and what's happening as you reach to catch that ball is you're doing this amazing kind of math in your head. You are measuring, your brain is measuring how fast that ball is coming at you, the size and shape of the parabola, the trajectory. Your body it's sending your body the information like this motor behavior is going to be necessary in order for you to catch this ball, because that's my intention, to catch the ball, right? So I put my hand out to a very particular point in space, and I'm ready to grasp the ball at a very particular moment in time. So if you had to do all that math on purpose, you couldn't do it. For all the tea in China, you could not do that. But your brain does it that fast. And in fact, your brain not only does it that fast, it does it in prediction of rather than in response to. So I just want to use that as an example because it's very, we can see it, right? It's easy to see. And we've all had this experience of catching something that's been thrown to us. And we just take it for granted that it's very simple behavior. But in fact, it's quite complex. And we do these complex motor behaviors all the time. One of our sensory organs, our ears, our eyes, our sense of touch, our sense of proprioception, where we are in space, one of our sensory perceptions gives our brain information, and our brain, poor little brain, locked in a dark skull, having to make sense of these, in light input and sonic input and sensory input, trying to make sense of it. Your brain makes sense of it and then tells your body what to do with that. So the same process is going on with pitch matching, right? So hearing and then turning that into a motor response. So that's the other thing. Hold on. What am I forgetting about? I'm kind of getting going. Catching a ball, right? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here we go. So what I want to suggest today, I want to tell you the story of my students. So I have these 3 students. Every one of them is, as they came to me, they're unable to match the pitch. And they're all 3 adult. One of them is in his 40s. 2 of them are in their 40s, male and female. One of them is in his 60s, a man. And they are all, neurotypical and lovely people. So there's nothing like wrong with them neurologically, right? They're fine. But they have a hard time matching pitch. And because it's been a negative experience for them for most of their lives, they are hesitant. They've been very hesitant to participate in singing, which is, they don't like that. They want to be able to experience that connection that we get when we sing with people that people in our industry kind of take for granted, because most of us are able to do that fairly easily. But these people are not only really wanting to do that, but they're very bravely coming to me and saying, I would like help with this. So I've been trying these exercises based on my Alexander stuff with them. So this is how I started it. And I'm going to tell you this, and then I'm going to sort of walk you through what I hope you might be willing to try too, so you can tell me how it worked for you. So in the Alexander class, one of the things that we found that our bodies are trying to predict all the time is sensory input, which blew my mind, because sensory input is fairly passive. Like, as you're watching me on the screen, you are thinking to yourself, I'm just watching the screen. But if you really notice, you might notice that your eyes are kind of reaching out toward the screen. And I noticed that one in my teaching, right? Because my screen is kind of far away from me. And I noticed I had to be very conscious of not making my eyes kind of have this sense of reaching toward what they're looking at. And I had to say to myself, that you can be passive with that, Meredith. That light is going to come to you. Whether you reach for it or not, it's going to come to you. And we do the same thing with sound too. We do that all the time. So I thought, well, maybe what I've observed about these pitch challenged people is that they're working real hard. Like, I can see how much effort they're putting into it. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if they're trying to do the math. I wonder, because we can't do the math to catch the ball, yet we catch the ball. Our brains know how to do the math. I wonder if they're interrupting this process. I wonder if they are getting in the way of the brain's predictive nature. So I said to them, I've been saying to them, I'm going to play a pitch. I want you to just be quiet on the inside, allow that pitch to come to you, and then hum on that pitch. And it's been fascinating, because when they do that, I can't say they bat 1,000, because that would not be accurate, but it's darn close. They're batting in the 900s. It's pretty amazing. When they stop trying, well, also they're humming. And so I want to put that in there. I think humming, because it provides sensory feedback, right? It's an SOVT, right? It makes it so the air has a harder time getting out your face, right? It has to go through your nose instead of your mouth. And it provides that thank you for the hearts. And it provides that kind of buzzy sensation. So they're able to get this, not only the sonic feedback of hearing the pitch that they've hit, but also the sensory feedback. Yeah, Cynthia Vaughn says yes, humming. So also the sensory feedback of the humming. So I think that has something to do with it as well. So that's what we've been doing. So I have them make a pitch, any pitch, so that I know where they're comfortable today in this moment. And they pick a pitch, and then I say, okay, I repeat that pitch. I'm going to play this on the keyboard, and I want you can close your eyes or not, but I want you to just take a moment, allow that pitch to come to you, and then phonate on that pitch. So we've taken away any kind of singing idea, right? We're not trying to sound pretty. We're not creating a context of a song. I'm not interrupting their thought process by throwing concepts in there. We're not talking about concepts. We're just keeping it super simple. We're going to stay in the circle of affect, which I will talk about in my neurovocal class if you're interested. So we're staying in the circle of affect, which means I'm getting the sensory information, I'm allowing my brain to do the math, and then I'm going to phonate on that same pitch. And it has been remarkable, right? Absolutely remarkable. It's not easy for them, but you know what's the most hard thing for these people? The most difficult thing for them is to not interrupt that process, not get in the way. Because what their habit is to hear a pitch and then put effort into it. Some kind of intention. One of these three adults said to me, I'm used to thinking of my voice outside of my body. Interesting, right? So here's what I've been doing, and I've sort of broken it down. I'm going to walk you guys through this and see if it makes sense to you as well. So first, before I say any of this, anyone who comes to me ever, I do this with, even if they're professional singers, because I have been surprised. I always talk about where's your voice. So I start by saying, I want you to hug your neck. Then you're going to swallow. And I say, do you feel that movement in your neck? They say, yes. I say, take your fingers, put it on that little bump that you felt move. And then we hum and stop humming and hum and stop humming so that they feel the vibration. Now we know where their voice is, right? So now they have a sense of, oh, my voice is embodied, and it works when I move air through it. So they just have that real physical sense of it, Okay, wait. People are contributing, and I really want to see this. Okay, so Wait, where'd she go? Oh, Kate. Kate says, this is exactly what I came to when I was working with the hearing impaired at Gallaudet College. But at the time, it was coming from my background in yoga. Very similar, right? Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were. Kate, what haven't you done that's cool? I'm so sure you worked at Gallaudet. Oh my gosh. I had a student from Gallaudet once. And Mary McMurtry says, it's like they've been told so much that they can't match pitch. They've unintentionally been practicing not matching pitch. Yes, exactly. Well said, Mary, and thank you. So essentially what I've been doing with these folks is, first, we narrow it down to a frequency, right? We just think about the pitches as frequencies. There's no aesthetic attached to it. There's no concept attached to it. It's just a frequency. Then the next thing we do is we interrupt per what Mary said, we interrupt their habit of jumping the gun with effort and trying to make their body respond without the brain having processed the information, right? We interrupt that process by allowing the sound to come to the person, giving the brain a moment to do the math and make sense of that frequency. Then, there we go. Then we reach for a way to reproduce that frequency with the humming so that they are, again, not trying to put an aesthetic value on it. They're getting sensory feedback. And then I ask them, we're going to keep going unless you tell me we're not. If they're a little bit off, I don't care. We're just going to keep going. If they're way off, I don't care unless they say, ooh, I don't feel good about that. Well, that's okay. Let's try it again. Then we try it again. So sometimes when they nail it, we try it again, just so that they get that confidence moving on, right? And then we repeat. We just do it again, do it again, do it again. Rita, you're so funny. I get such a kick out of Rita. Oh, and Alex says, yes, this, yay. Right. Okay, so frequencies. We interrupt the practiced behavior, right? The habit of behavior. We reproduce that frequency. That's all we're thinking about. And then we repeat. We do it again. We do it again. We do it again. Now, just a little aside. Some people don't respond, and I know I've actually think I've heard Kate talk about this. Some people do not respond that well to certain timbres. So sometimes the timbre of a piano is too simple, and if you sing at them, they're going to be able to respond a little bit better. I don't know why, but humans matching, actually, I kind of do know why. We have... This is a little off the side, but I can see we are having a nerd fest here today. Recently, some neuroscientists have discovered a little tiny group of neurons in your somatosensory cortex that responds only to singing, just singing, not any other kind of music, just singing, not speech, just singing. Isn't that cool? So it may be that hearing another voice can help them. So that's all. I just wanted to say you may need to phonate at them. So then we repeat as the brain gets better. The brain user, the owner of the brain, learns to trust that process, and they get more confident. Now, here's something that's super interesting that I just want to share with you. So with each of these people, I think it was each of these people, I took two weeks. So we're not doing anything except this. I am not entertaining them. I am working with them. So we're just going this process that I said. So we did that for 2 weeks in a row. And then on the third week, we did that for the first, 3/4 of our time together of the appointment. And then we sang a little song from their childhood. So I was picking Row, Row, Row Your Boat because Three Blind Mice is too rangy, frankly. So we were doing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And all three of these people, after they did this work, they were able to sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat in tune. And there was, screaming and tears in every case. It was really interesting. I didn't go between, there was nothing between, right? We just did this really boring pitch matching thing. Well, it wasn't boring. It was actually, it was so not boring that I made a graphic for it. It's a lot of work. This pitch matching work is such a lot of cognitive work for these people. So please do not underestimate how hard they're working, and help them not underestimate how hard they're working. They do this for an hour with you, they're going to sleep really well that night. So it was a really extraordinary outcome with this. And if you have to pull up Alex again. Well, come on. There she is. Okay. Singers rule. We do. If you want to try this with any of your students, I would love to hear back about this, because it's been fascinating to watch this and very empowering for these clients, and everybody's happy. It's just great. It's been really great. So officially, Rita has a question. So I'm just going to share this question where she's, did you have them just hum after listening to you, or did you go to vowels as well? No, I just humming. It literally was just humming, because I wasn't thinking of it as any kind of voice work, Rita, because I don't care. They're not with me to sing pretty. They're with me to carry a tune. So I didn't do any vowel. Oh, I see what you're saying though. Losing that interruption and transitioning from the sensory to the, I didn't do that, but I don't think I did it. I might have done it, but I don't think I did. I think we just went from humming to singing the simple song. It was really interesting because it was all about the pitch matching. And Cynthia says 30-minute lessons is enough time. Yeah, maybe it's because I'm working with adults, but we would do maybe between 5 and 10 minutes of this work, and then we would breathe and stretch and walk around a little bit and move the body, and then come back and do it for 10. So we were doing it for really close to an hour, but they're adults. I would never do that with a teenager. Oh, Rita has a student in mind for this. Woohoo. And Suzanne says, that's a good question. Suzanne says, when you sing to male singers, do you sing in their octave or in yours? My 60-something-year-old guy, when I sing to him, he's been pretty good with the piano. But when I sing to him, I sing an octave up. He doesn't really even try to match my octave. He literally just hears it an octave down. So I can't sing in his octave. If he was a tenor, I could sing in his octave these days because, menopause. Okay, and Mary says, when they're ready, maybe ask them to hum, then from the hum open into a simple vowel sound for a while. We do that for other NVM purposes. Yes, we do. Yeah, sure, absolutely. You can totally do that. Do it. Tell me what happens. Oh, Cynthia says 30 minutes is enough, and my students were adults too. Okay, fine. And the thing is, and that's a good point, actually, Cynthia. I'm glad you said that, because the thing is, when we're doing brain exercises, right? So what we're really trying to do here in interrupting this existing process, we're trying to build new neural pathways. And that's what allowing for new behaviors is, right? It's hopefully over time, we're building new neural pathways. We're stimulating neuroplasticity. So if we're doing that, then yeah, short and repeated. You're absolutely right, Cynthia. So doing it for a shorter length of time. I mean, what I sent my students away with, you don't have to do this, but this is what I do. What I sent my students away with is, as frequently as you can during the day, take 2 or 3 minutes and just do it. So yeah, good point, Cynthia. Thank you for saying that. More frequently for less time. And then Kate says, my husband was born and grew up in West Africa, where there are very, very few cases of not being able to match pitch because of the tonal language. You have to be able to differentiate, because the same word can mean quite different things depending on its pitch. Right. And the book that I mentioned at the beginning, Kate, Nina Krause's book of Sound Mind, she's talking about that too. Like Mandarin is the example she uses, but I'm sure it's the same principle. It's that tonal thing. And Suzanne says, my guys often try to sing in my octave. I know. But what are we supposed to do if you can't sing a C3? I mean, maybe you can. I can't. And Cynthia says, it depends on the brain and the student. It really does depend on the brain and the student. But luckily, we're a caring bunch of folks in our profession, I would like to say. So we're sensitive to how people are and where they are in their process. And so we can just try stuff, see how it works. But we do have to be patient and slow, patient, and not try to entertain them. Like, don't bother trying to entertain them. Anyway, this has been a really fun topic. Thank you so much for Cynthia says, a fascinating topic. Yes, thank you so much for your contributions, everybody, today. That was really great. It was wonderful to be here with you today. Have a great week. And I want to hear what happens, so keep me posted. Bye.